guys, I usually try not to buy a product like this before real reviewers get their hands on it. But this time, I made an exception. I bought the M1 Pro Apple iPad. I don't know if I got that right or not. These names nowadays are just too much. So today, what I thought I would do is I'd get some footage of all the things that we do on this channel, kind of like a preview of what this channel is about. And I can take some footage on the action cams and then bring them back and export them or import them, whatever you call it, into this iPad Pro and see if I can use a program they call Lumafusion, or an app, to get this all together and make a decent video to see if it can be my second driver. I'm pretty sure it can, but how painful is it going to be an Android and Windows owner of 7 years? See, part of my job is video editing, and I can't always bring my desktop with me when I'm on a trip. So I needed something portable. Now I have a Microsoft Surface Pro right now, but that's going with my son to school because it's about 4 years old now. It's starting to slow down. That runs Premiere, and that's generally what I use. This doesn't run Premiere, of course. It goes with Lumafusion, which should be dumbed down, but is it enough that I can get out quality content for social media? I think it should be. And you're watching this now, so I'm hoping it's very bearable. So I'm going to let you know at the end of the video whether or not this was a painful experience. But for now, you can enjoy what 6's Overdrive is all about.
You got me trapped and got nowhere to go, but you don't scare me, I don't feel you at all. You try to trick me, make me run and hide, but you don't know how I'm feeling inside.
That's enough footage for you to get the idea. So let's talk about this. How did it perform? Right now, I'm shooting this on the iPad Pro, and while it's a decent camera, as you can see, and it records audio decently, you just have to remember that it's an iPad camera like your grandma and grandma use. There's no real settings for ISO or anything on this camera. It's very basic. You just hit the record button and away you go. So it'll go for capturing basic stuff, but anything where your light is dynamic and things like that, I wouldn't bother taking it out. I would use your regular cameras that you can set manually. Also, one thing that really impressed me was Apple and Insta360. As you can see, I shot this with a variety of cameras, and one of them was the Insta360 1R. Now this camera works like crap. In other words, it barely works. Insta should be ashamed for even saying it works with Android devices, because the difference between how it works on this Apple compared to Android is night and day. It's not even close. I have felt ripped off from day one for buying the Insta product, and while they do some pretty incredible things, the Android versions, the way they hook up, the way the app falls, and the way it glitches and everything else, it's useless. On the iPad, it actually works very good. And then, of course, like I said before, I also used my DJI Osmo Action, and I also pulled stuff from the internet, from Storyblocks, and tried the importing process. Let's get into that. So I prefer desktop or even Android for importing and exporting and doing stuff in file management and stuff. This is a little bit harder to get to use, and it's very basic. It's like they just started using it. It's not as good as Mac OS, and it's not as good as Windows. It's not as good as any of that. You don't have a progress bar really to see where your footage is coming in and out. So you just kind of wait till it's done, and then it's a surprise when it's done, but you kind of have to sit around the camera, or the iPad Pro, to see when things are happening. It's just a spinning wheel. And then, the way you just have to learn it. You have to get used to it. It's just not second nature. Another thing about this one that is a little bit off, like with this Pro Fusion, I was really hoping, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I can't find it, but I can't find a way to really line up the audio on this camera. And that's a little bit frustrating because, it just takes a lot of extra time. And I like to have my music cut at different times in the music. The video will line up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's really hard to do on this. It just doesn't stop exactly where you want it to, and you can fiddle with it, but it's just not intuitive. You can kind of use the bars and stretch them up, but it's nowhere near where like Premiere Pro is, but you don't expect it to be, right? You're talking about a $30 program compared to $50 American per month. So, there's an expectation that you're not going to get anything, but that seems like something that would be really simple to do. So if they do it in a little upgrade to the program, that would be awesome. So everything works pretty good, but here's the bad part. You're really paying for something that right now, as the time of this review, you can basically do on an iPad that's half the cost of this thing. There is no need for this M1 chip or half of the Pro features that they have in it. Right now you can buy an iPad and do everything that I just did on an iPad, and it doesn't really slow down. So, and they're half the price. They're only $500. I really thought when Apple made the announcement that there would be some really neat features and the iOS would come out and maybe you could run Final Cut Pro on this thing, but that hasn't happened yet. So it looks like Apple's dumbing things down so the rest of their products don't fall behind, instead of making some apps that go with this iOS that cater directly to the M1 chip. And I think hopefully that's going to happen in the future. So definitely, if you are buying this, you're kind of buying for the future proof. You're getting the latest, greatest kind of thing. So, maybe this will last 6-7 years. But for right now, it's dumbed down to where everything else is. So that's my advice for this video. If you want the latest and greatest, this is it, and it works really well. But Apple hasn't caught up to their own hardware yet, and until they do, you could save yourself some money, and you could probably buy 2 Apples that have been updated, or 2 iPads that have been updated, and the newest, greatest model of those for less than half the price of this. And then maybe when Apple decides to start taking advantage of their M1 chip capability, then maybe you can step up to that. By that time, it might be on a regular iPad. So you've been able to replace 3 of these for the price of 1 of these. I just saved you a whole bunch of money. And speaking of that, if you guys would like to share, like, comment, and subscribe, I can save you money in the future. If you subscribe to my videos, I'll give you honest reviews that are unpaid and unbiased. These are all my products. I don't get stuff sent to me in the mail, and I'm also not biased for anything. I'll give you the honest review. So, again, this is Six's Overdrive. That's the end of this video. Remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe, because I'm out of here. Bye-bye.